Yo, what it do, SuperFlex family? It's Kedz the Canuck coming at you once again. It's Tuesday. It's been a crazy week in the NFL. Got my guy, the King of Pop, holding it down here with me as per normal, as per usual. Man, one heck of a fantasy football week. We'll really get into it. I hope you guys out there are loving the new intro for SuperFlex. I think it's pretty awesome. A little bit of a Iron Mike Sharp pat on the back. A little bit of love to my guy, the dude in the back. He worked diligently in short order to pull something really cool off. I'm going to give a little bit of shout out to a legendary Canadian beat producer, my guy DJ Moves from the Nextra family. Helped me out with that awesome intro beat. So want to give a little bit of love to those guys out there who support the channel and help us out, right? And speaking of which, we got a little bit of that in the background right now. Guys who's been following the show and giving us a little bit of love and support on the outside. And now we're giving him a look from the inside. So I'd like to introduce to y'all our guy, the Crooked Commish.
Yo, what's good, everyone? How y'all doing?
Doing fantastic, Commish. What's good on your side of the fence?
Not too much. Kind of licking my wounds over this first week of playoff fantasy football. Did better in some than I did in the others. So, but we'll get into it. Overall, I'm doing good though.
Yeah, we will get into it, and I feel exactly the same. You can't bet much like Bears general manager Ryan Poles. You can't bat 100, right? You know what I mean? So I'm right there with you. I'm batting. I'm down to my final league at this point, and that's the Bears Podcaster League, which I had a bye week in this past week. So I ain't complaining about to give those guys a bit of a headache this coming week, so I'm all right with it. But King of Pop, what about you? How was your week in fantasy football, Doc?
Man, what are you talking about? Apparently, I need to give up fantasy football and get a goddamn DNA license or something. Shit, I need to do something different. I suck, man, and I don't like losing. 7-7 didn't make the playoffs, but out here trying to ruin other people's day. But man, that sucks, man. I need to figure out something else to do in my private time, man.
Some people's seasons are shorter than others, so it's a shame that happened to you this year, but there's always next year.
How you doing though, Commish, man? It's good to actually see you, man. I'm delighted to actually see you on the screen, coming from the chat and actually being here on the show, man. We love doing that kind of stuff. So, hey, man.
Oh, absolutely.
Really good to see you, man.
It is good to be seen, but it is also good to see you guys as well. So I do appreciate the love. I do appreciate you guys bringing me on here. I love talking football. I love talking Bears football and then fantasy football as well. So, I mean, any football talk I can get, I mean, I'm all for it.
Well, you're going to get a whole lot of that today. So that's that's what this is all about. Big shout outs to my guy, Deuce One Effects, who's out there. Deuce One is in the Gangster League with me. Deuce One has my full blessing to take the Gangster League and do with it what he will, because I think he's got the squad this season to take that one home, right? So good luck to you, Deuce. Big shout outs to you. Big shout out to our guy Clark Khan who just jumped in too. Shout outs to you as well. But yeah, man, let's start to look at this league. One more shout out I'm gonna give is to the happy folks out there at sleeper.com. Big love to Sleeper for helping us with a fair amount of analytics this season. We run through and tend to lean on this platform quite a bit because I really do appreciate the way they put things together to give you those attempts along with the snap numbers. There's a couple of additional levels of analytics that come from Sleeper that definitely definitely appease to me. They help me make sense of them.
Yeah, they point out some shit that you don't even really looking at, and then you're like, oh shit, snap percentage share, and all little things like that. You're like,
It's very true, right? So I mean, I've used over the years. I've done ESPN, Yahoo, NFL. I still have an NFL.com and a ESPN.com league. plus now 2 in sleeper. So this is basically where I'm at now. And out of the 5 that I've tested out, I really like what sleeper has done. So I tend to lean towards them, especially because I do have these 2 leagues in here. But I think the big topic of conversation right now is going to sort of revolve around injury, right? Going into this second week of potential fantasy football playoffs. There's some hurt cats out there, and I think the world should know and be wary. And with that information, pivot as you will, right? So one of the big names to just sort of wind up walking off the field on Sunday after having a pretty decent showing, right? Like he got 18 points. He put up 18 points regardless this weekend, but unfortunately, Alvin Kamara walked off the field with a little bit of an injury. There's no designation yet. The designation right now is questionable. We'll see how the testing goes. He still has a couple more days to figure things out. But considering the load, like just look at his numbers throughout the season. We don't even have to look at share of anything. They speak for themselves. He's 15, you know what I mean? He's 15 plus week on week. Doesn't matter what's going on, except I guess one anomaly versus Denver. Even in a week when he's hurt, he's 15 plus. That's going to hurt some fantasy football teams out there. Y'all pay attention. You might want to look towards
Miller.
Kendre Miller. You're right. Like if Miller's the backup there, you may want to look towards Kendre Miller, but as good of a back as Kendre Miller really is, I don't really see him filling Alvin Kamara's shoes. It'll be a good day for Kendre Miller, but what do you think?
Yeah. What if you're down? Like there's a whole bunch of people in the playoff hunt. I mean, that are in the playoffs, depending on a back like him, a back like especially a back like David Montgomery. And so everybody's looking for that guy.
Next on the list.
Yeah, everybody's looking for that guy that can backfill for him and see if you can stay where you need to be numbers wise. Is there somebody legit that can back that up? That Kendre Miller would be a guy that I would definitely take a hard look at for sure.
He'll be available on waiver wire. So let's
his matchup just isn't good though. It looks like they're going against Green Bay next at Green Bay. That's just going to be a kind of a tough one there.
Yeah.
So Miller's done like decent with this little bit of production that he's been there, but nothing really that makes you think he's going to come up to the level of Alvin Kamara type of numbers.
So maybe that's what you should do first, Kedz. Maybe look at the matchups, and maybe that'll give people a better idea of who to go after. Because he's right about this matchup. That's not a good one.
We'll get heavy into matchups a little bit later on in the day, but just looking at his numbers, I'm right there with you, Commish. Numbers could be decent. Obviously, he had a good showing against the New York Giants a couple of weeks ago. He's going up against the Green Bay Packers. So if we're talking about the matchup, not the most favorable matchup in the world for him to be running into, I do still expect in and around 12 fantasy football points for him on the weekend. That's my thoughts for Kendre Miller. If you need a guy, he's not heavily rostered, 16%. 2% started. You can find yourself some Kendre Miller love this week if you really need it. But again, this is really aimed at those guys who have themselves a Alvin Kamara and he's gone down on the flippity. Yeah, man.
That's me, Alvin Kamara.
That's you're one of those guys. Okay,
yeah, you're speaking directly to me, my friend.
Okay, all right. So for you, or for those guys who want to play spoiler and know you have, you know what I'm saying? If you've got a Kamara on your squad, you may want to prevent a guy like the Commish from getting access to a Kendre Miller. So keep your eyes peeled in that respect. We're gonna move on to his quarterback, because
talking about my quarterback, man. That's my quarterback.
Man, so Derek Carr is gone. He's gonna be gone for another couple of weeks. Broken finger.
Back in the auto shop.
Problems for Derek Carr. I don't know what you do with that. I would be worried if you're holding or relying on any of the passing game in New Orleans right now. So I, for the most part, benched Marquez Valdez-Scantling. I think that's going to be the scenario moving forward as far as he's concerned. But again, nothing big coming out of New Orleans, at least not this weekend by way of offense against the Green Bay Packers. Maybe if things are a little bit healthier, week 17 against Las Vegas, maybe. But tough sledding for the Saints.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's this guy. If we're talking about quarterbacks,
Kermit.
That's so cold. So me, but it's still kind of true. He even sort of sounds like him when he talks, right? Like it's
That's
weird.
what I'm saying.
It's kind of weird, but hey, man, Kermit sure knows how to throw a football. Even sometimes when they're running the football, and that's like one of those things you gotta love about. You just kind of have to love about Kansas City when they're running the football. It's a pass. He's still getting yardage on it regardless, right? So big love to Patrick Mahomes and the baby goat that he is, but unfortunately he hurt his ankle. And if I was Andy Reid, I would not be playing this young man there next week or this week in week 16. They're pretty much already in the playoffs. You probably want to give this guy a week's worth of grace, a little bit of rest before you start getting into real competition. What do you think there, Commish? Any thoughts on Mahomes going down?
Well, if you're just one of the owners, I mean, I would say it normally in past years that would be devastating to your team.
Yeah.
But Mahomes hasn't been the Mahomes that we've been all used to.
That's true.
So losing him now, yeah, it sucks just because of the big play potential. But if I had to guess, if you had him, you were probably flexing him throughout the whole year of when I can play him and maybe when I not, just because you couldn't really trust that he could get you to 20 points consistently, So is it a loss? Yeah. I think it affects more his other players like Hopkins and, Kelsey. Those are the guys that are really going to take a big step back if Mahomes misses significant time, like fantasy playoff time, I should say.
Wow, yeah, that's a mouthful, bro. You said a whole lot, and just considering who he is, I really haven't been in here looking at. This is the first time y'all have seen me looking at Patrick Mahomes all season. I'll admit that. Fact is, he's usually putting up crazy numbers, and it's a given. But Commish, you're bang on here, man. These numbers are kind of pedestrian, right? If you really go through them, nothing bad by way of a quarterback, but by way of Patrick Mahomes, this is the guy that folks, you know what I mean? This is the guy that folks were picking up in many cases very early in their respective drafts. And I don't see one. Okay, so there's one 30-point game on the season. Right, and it's 29 points to be legit, right? So that's it. That's really what you're getting from Pat Mahomes. It wasn't nowhere near what we're talking about. So yeah, you're right. A lot of folks may have been flexing him out, putting whoever they have, from a matchup perspective, in over Patrick Mahomes just to get by. To make matters worse, they're going up against the Houston Texans this week. If Mahomes doesn't play, yeah, Travis Kelce's going to have a problem this week. DeAndre Hopkins going to have a problem this week. Even Juju Smith-Schuster jumped out there last week, scored a touchdown. Don't see that happening this week. The one guy who may still have similar outing is Xavier Worthy, and the only reason I'm saying that is because they're kind of using him as a bit of a gadget guy, which is great. Yep. You know what I mean? So he may get some gadget run, he may get some gadget yardage. But outside of that, man, it's going to be a tough week against these Houston Texans, depending on what happens with Patrick Mahomes' ankle, right? So thoughts on that there, King of Pop?
One thing I would think about is there's a couple of situations going on. This thing with Mahomes, if he plays or not, do you trust, if you do have a quarterback situation, do you trust a Carson Wentz to actually put up some numbers, or do you expect them to just run the ball heavy and let them drop back and throw it a few times? Thinking about that dynamic and everything. You know, also another thing to look at would be Dorian Thompson-Robinson. You know, he's got the pass run situation that he can get off into, and he's going to be looking to see if he can actually, you know, they're going to be looking at probably quarterback in the offseason. And do they need to look at quarterback? So he's going to be looking to show and prove some stuff. So I take a peek at Dorian Thompson-Robinson. I'm not saying that he's your answer if Patrick Mahomes doesn't play. I'm saying to think about the matchup, whatever the matchup is, and the fact that he can throw it and run it might be something to somebody's advantage out there somewhere.
Yeah, so that's the next guy on the list. But realistically, we went with his counterpart first, right? Because like the reason why I went with Jamie is first is because I started Elijah Moore in 2 leagues last week, and that was basically what cost me the SuperFlex league. So shout out to the Nodge who bumped me out of the SuperFlex league. More power to you, Nodge. It's on you now, brother. Hopefully you take home the chip. But basically, Jameis Winston, you know, like I don't know if you guys watch anime, but I'm a pretty big fan of certain anime properties. One being Dragon Ball Z, right? With Dragon Ball Z, these the characters eventually level up and they reach their final form, and it's always like some sort of monstrosity situation, right? Like just uber powered. And it's sort of the opposite with Jameis Winston is where I'm going. He kind of reaches his final form, and it's just like an interception. It's like Jameis interception is like his final form. He just chucks interceptions left, right, and center. Just a ridiculous game here this week. Again, 3 interceptions on the day. Just brutal stuff. Got benched. 0.4 on the day. Sorry, 0.14 fantasy football points for a weekend outing as a starting quarterback. That's just crazy. I don't even know how you get to that kind of number. But not a good outing for Jameis Winston.
Hey, there's a loan shark somewhere looking for his ass right now.
There's a couple of different types of sharks looking for him. Let's just be real. Anyways, the first thing I'm going to say about Jameis is just the smile on this man's face right there in that picture. I love it. He's he kind of reminds me of you. You know, I hate to say this, King of Pop. He kind of reminds me of you, man. My guy is
he looks like the biggest kid in the NFL with that smile.
There's that. It's just he just beams with positivity. 24 hours a day. It's 14 points. 3 interceptions later, he's in a locker room somewhere in Cleveland right now, just praising God and loving the fact that he's alive, right? So big shout outs to somebody of that level of positivity. Unfortunately, he's probably benched. I'm just kidding. Well, he's probably benched for the week.
Hey, seriously. I mean, go ahead.
There's not too many guys. There's just not too many guys that can throw 30 interceptions in a season and still be a starting, be a starter, even a backup guy. So I mean, I can see why he's smiling there too. He's like, "Damn, I'm still in the NFL after having a 30 interception season." All right,
go ahead. Starting QB. Go figure. King of Pop.
DTR had one of your better preseasons of all these young quarterbacks. And I liked him in college. I really think highly of him. Is he going to go out there and blow the roof off whoever they're playing next week? That's interesting to see who they'll be playing next week, or this week rather. Well, yeah. I mean, he's going to run it and throw it, so he's going to, he's going to see some stuff. And
you want to know who they playing this week?
Who they got?
I got to laugh because they're playing Joey B. And the Cincinnati Bengals. I happen to have the Cincinnati handcuff ready to go, locked and loaded this week. So I'm hype already. That's great. Good luck to my opponent. I'm just saying. Anyways, that's what we're basically looking at. Dorian Thompson-Robinson against the Cincinnati Bengals. It's going to be a lot of what's up, Crimson? It's going to be a lot of running the ball with Jerome Ford. So for those of you who have access to a Jerome Ford, or if he's on your waiver, let's just take a quick peek here. Well, so before I leave Dorian Thompson-Robinson, rostered 0% of leagues, started 0% of leagues, right? So he's super available. If you really need a guy, you can find a guy. I have no clue because there's zero history here. You know, King of Pop had to go right back to preseason to talk about, you know, how well he may fare this week. I don't against the Bengals, although their defense isn't you know, it's not the best defense in the league. I don't see a lot of success for Dorian Thompson-Robinson this week, unfortunately. So I don't know what kind of numbers you can expect here.
True shot in the dark. If you have to play him or start him, you're just really grasping.
You're
at this
hurting.
point. Hopefully, yeah. The only reason I would think about taking him is 1 year I was in a 32-man league, and that would probably be the only kind of scenario where you would have to look at somebody like that. So
that's there's nobody left in the waiver wire with 32 teams. Good luck.
I'm looking at CFL players.
You might as well be, right? You might as well be. All right. So that's the long and the short of this thing here with the Cleveland Browns. But let's just take a quick peek at Jerome Ford before we bail. He's a lock, right? So 22 points against the former Super Bowl champions this past weekend when things go sideways and Jameis is coughing up ducks. So I think Jerome Ford is a great look for this week. He's rostered in 44, started at 14%. If you can get your hands on him even then, do it. I think it'll be worth its weight in gold, to be frank with you, even against a hungry Cincinnati Bengals team. All right. What are your thoughts on Jerome Ford?
Go ahead, Pop.
Yeah. King of Pop. He's gone.
Oh, he's gone.
He's popping.
Bad. I was in there trying to cheat, man, trying to make me something to eat.
Okay. Well, you can go ahead and go back at it. So with Ford, I think it's one of those guys. If you happen to be one of those teams that lost Chubbs, or maybe the guy that you're going up against, like we talked about it earlier, lost Chubbs, and is obviously gonna go for someone like Ford. He's someone that you should grab to either play keep away or use him as a starter if you have to, because Cincinnati's defense is not that tough. They can be scored upon. So division game, so they're very familiar with each other. You know, so he should have no issues kind of falling back in line now that Nick Chubbs is out for the remainder of the season. And it sucks to see him go too. As hard as that dude fought to get back in the league and get healthy, and to see this happen to him again, man, I don't know how much longer his NFL career really is now at this point.
Yeah, it's a very tough one for Nick Chubb, unfortunately, especially for Nick Chubb owners. There's a lot of folks who just said, you know what? Nick Chubb is to be trusted, so I'll just stash this guy on IR. I'll just stash him on my bench for the remainder of the season until he gets back. Then we're in let's go, once he's back.
Right.
And for this to sort of rear its ugly head again is terrible for Nick Chubb. So again, shout out to the homie Nick Chubb. It's unfortunate, but keep your eyes peeled on Jerome Ford if you need, if you were a Nick Chubb owner or if you are up against a Nick Chubb owner, right? So that's how you got to sort of look at that. Keep away.
Another name for you though, Kedz.
All right.
Since we're talking about running backs, and if you find yourself in need of a guy, I don't think Sione Vaki is a bad idea, man. He's going to be backing up Jahmyr Gibbs now, and Sione Vaki is more of your physical type of back. He may find himself in there on goal line. He'll definitely get some touches in there to split, because they can't put 30 carries on Jahmyr Gibbs, expect to make it to the Super Bowl with a healthy running back. He's going to get some touches, 10, 15 touches, and where he gets them at, might be important. They're going to get red zone area, man, and they'll put the bigger back in there. And I like this kid right here.
Oh boy, that's straight up and down. King of Pop. I have to give you some mad props for this one because all right. So everybody's favorite former Chicago Bear has hurt himself again. I believe it's an MCL strain or it's a tear. It's a full-on tear. Right. So David Montgomery's basically out for the remainder of the season. He won't be back in the playoffs. He will likely be good to go, hopefully, by the beginning of next season. But it's that kind of injury we're talking about for David Montgomery. So again, shout out to you, Dave. You had a fantastic season this season. No, by no stretch of the imagination should anybody take anything away from you. And hopefully, again, your team continues on and gets you a ring at the end of all this. But is what it is. That being said, our guy's going down. It's whether now the questions are whether Jahmyr Gibbs really has his load doubled, or do they start to share that football with somebody else on the roster? And I don't know about the rest of you guys, but I can say that I can say that I spend a fair amount of time scouting Sione Vaki this offseason. I hate that he wound up on the Lions team. Like, I gotta say these things out loud. This kid is a diamond in the rough. He really is. I don't know where you play him. Like, there's certain players that I've scouted over the past decade where it's just like, you know what, he could kind of do anything if he puts his mind to it. Like, one of those guys is Jabril Peppers, as a for instance. Jabril Peppers, like, put him anywhere, he'll just do it. Safety, he'll do it. Linebacker, might be small, he'll do it. He can definitely play running back because we saw him do it all the time in college. He'll do kick returns. And this is the type of athlete that we're talking about with Sione Vaki, right? Go back over to him. This little guy, so he's on the season 3, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 26 snaps on the season. Nothing to write home about or even have a discussion about here. I'm just saying, I've watched this kid, and he's an everything type player. So if they decide to line him up as a secondary back, more or less in the David Montgomery role, I see him eating success. I see his numbers jumping in a major way. He's that kind of talent. His feet are like in a similar. Wow, never thought I'd be comparing him to David Montgomery, but here I am. He's that kind of back though. He's a keep your feet moving back, right? So it would be very awesome.
Use one of those.
Oh, we certainly could, and unfortunately, we clearly missed this guy in the draft because he didn't go early, right? He went relatively late. And the reason why, one more time, why he would go late is just because he's more of a like, what do you do with this guy type of prospect, right? Like, he can do anything, but where do we actually want to put him? Do we want to put him? Is he a cornerback? Maybe he is, but he ain't super fast. Is he a safety? Maybe. Again, not super fast. It's I don't know. Running back? Yeah, sure, absolutely. Give him the ball, let him tote the rock. He'll get the job done. Wow. I haven't been excited to watch Detroit Lions football. Oh, man, and guess who the Detroit Lions are playing this week?
The Bears.
The Bears.
Yeah. Real quick, I had a question. Back to David Montgomery's stats there. If we could just look at the percentage of snaps that he gets, Montgomery.
Yeah.
Just curious about that around.
So
roughly.
Okay, hold on. No.
And the only reason why I ask is I'm once we get that number, I'm kind of curious with your guys' opinion, if he'll reach that same percentage number of snaps that Montgomery normally gets, or is that going to tick down a bit? You know what I mean?
Like, I do. So I'm seeing the numbers that are here for David Montgomery. I wanted to see them in relation to Jahmyr Gibbs, so I pulled up him too. Jahmyr Gibbs clearly gets the higher percentage of snaps
Workload.
he definitely gets the larger workload in comparison. Like as you can see here, 30%, 39%, 29%. Whereas Jameer is much higher, right? I'm gonna say that Jameer's workload will tick up, and Sione Vaki as a for instance will get a heavy uptick in his workload considering 26 snaps on the season. But I don't think he'll be doing anywhere near a 30 snap case scenario for them.
Maybe 20% or so of snaps.
Probably around a 20% uptick. And again, that's huge for Sione Vaki. So yeah, if you really need a running back out there, or if you're playing like DFS, if you're playing daily fantasy this weekend, Sione Vaki on the cheap might be a huge boost, right? So to keep your eyes peeled on the Sione Vaki. Well thought through there, King of Pop. I got to give you a little applause for that one. I really like that one, actually.
You know what? I would also think of it this way. Think of how many different ways they use Jahmyr Gibbs and how many times he's going to have to go and take a breather, and then he'll get those extra touches. So you might have imagined, all right, he gets somewhere between around 12 touches. I ticked that up to about 18 because of how many different ways they use Jahmyr Gibbs. They use him on long routes and different things like that. He'll probably get 5 to 6 extra carries just because he needs to go take a breather. You know what I mean? So that's one way to look at it too.
So there's only 1 week where he had less than 40% snaps, right? Like only 1 week on the season, and that's pretty crazy. Super high. So this week, again, with Montgomery going down, his stuff upticked to 75% of snaps. That being said, I think it's going to be closer to this 75, between 60 and 75 moving forward for Jahmyr Gibbs, and the remainder obviously is going to go to a Sione Vaki. So, folks out there, like I say, if you need a running back, you might want to if you need one, you may want to take a flyer on Sione Vaki. I really have to say that because again, by all means, go take a look at please. Go take a look at his college film. By all means, go take a look at Sione Vaki's college film. You will be stupid impressed. And, even if he stinks it up this weekend, I think that college film might be worth its while. So go watch the college film.
When we did him on the college show, when we did I think we ended up doing him on, I think he played safety in college too.
He did.
We ended up doing him as a safety. And we added that film as an extra, the fact that he's a running back and he got drafted as a running back. And so the cat is just mad explosive and physical, for a guy his size, really physical.
He can play anywhere, right? So we looked at, you're right. We looked at him as a safety. And when I say we looked at him as a safety, he was not one of the safeties that we actually had in our list, right? Like we went through and we looked at because the safety list was actually really nice this past season. Like we found some really nice pieces, but this guy he shined in a different way, right? He's an all right safety, but he's real good at just about everything you could, if you put the ball in his hands, he's real good. I don't know, man, just a multi-talented individual. And I hope, man, I hate giving this level of love to the Detroit Lions under any pretenses, but they scouted a Sione Vaki. They did bring him in. They're in a situation where David Montgomery is down and they need a back. Just saying, Sione Vaki is probably that back. Well scouted, King of Pop. Big props for that, bro.
Appreciate it.
Who else did we want to talk about today? That's pretty crazy, man. I didn't really even think about Sione Vaki with respect to all this injury in the NFL, but that's kind of the story this week, right? Like, there's a lot of humanity that's gone down. I wanted one of the folks out there to be aware of what's gone down because, hey, we're getting towards the end of the fantasy football season and the NFL season. Got to make sure you got the right stuff out there, right? You got to make sure. So that's kind of where we are right now. Let me see what else.
Some other injuries too that that's going to affect some teams as well. That I noticed was Jaden Waddle, his knee. It looks like he may be done for the season with the sprained MCL. And then also Tony Pollard hurt his ankle. So if any Tony Pollard owners out there, Tajay Spears is the guy to go and get. He stole the touchdown. He got a touchdown on this past game as well. And he's pretty fast as well. So I mean, Spears would be a guy if he's available out there to go and get if you have Pollard, and Pollard's not going to be able to go this week. So
Tajay Spears. Yeah, I didn't realize that Tony Pollard was down. So I'm glad that you brought that one up.
I bet Tajay Spears is at least 50% roster.
That's a good catch, to be honest with you. So you're wrong. Close though. 46% rostered, 11% started. Yes, Tajay Spears is heavily, like in my opinion, relatively heavily rostered out there in backup capacity or in starting capacity. Let's be frank here. I thought they were going to run with this guy as their primary back and maybe draft a running back last season. This kid's really good. How it wound up, that they would go out and get another back and put that back in front of Tajay Spears was very surprising to me. That back's Tony Pollard. Unfortunately, he's hurt. So I have all the faith in the world in a Tajay Spears. If you got to start him, by all means do so. I think you will be pleasantly surprised with the output, like you might have been last week against the Cincinnati Bengals. 30-odd fantasy football points, 56 snaps that game. That's pretty crazy, y'all. So just use yourself some Tajay Spears if the need be. And by all means, if you are a Tony Pollard owner, you may want to look at rostering and or starting a Tajay Spears. But odds are he's probably already gone.
And they may lean on that run game even more with Will Levis being benched, and now they're going to their backup guy. So who knows how that offense is going to go, and how much they trust the backup quarterback to kind of sling that rock. So
I didn't realize that Will Levis was actually benched. There's that one too.
Yes, sir.
Who's their backup over there in Tennessee?
I believe it's Mason Rudolph, right in time for Christmas.
Yep.
It is Mason running back for Christmas.
Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer, right in time for Christmas. Rudolph is going to make it right in time. What do you know?
Had a very shiny nose. Mason Rudolph. Yeah. I don't know, man.
Yeah, I just something to think about, like they may feed Tennessee the ball more, but who knows? And with Waddle, though, I guess now Hill is going to get a hell of a lot more attention. No,
he's hurt, man. So that's where
things hurt as well.
Oh, well, he's been hurt, right? So Hill got arrested earlier in the season. When he got arrested, they tore up his ankle, and he hasn't been the same football player ever since. And that's just this season. I'm a Tyreek Hill owner. I can vouch for this. He went from having like 40-point weeks, it was ridiculous, to 12-point weeks. And what wound up happening during that period of time is Jalen Waddle started to step up his game. So these stats are pretty decent for Jalen Waddle. There's been it's a little bit up and down with Tua being in and out of the starting role for the better part of the season. But Waddle is sort of taking on the other side of the offense, and with him out, one would like to hope that it's all going to go to Tyreek Hill, but I'm not so sure Tyreek Hill has it in him this season, right? I think he needs a little bit of rehab off season and get back at it.
You got a couple questions in the chat.
I saw this one from Crimson. So here we go, Crimson. I'm not far from Toronto at all. The Lions love isn't really a Toronto thing. Lions love is actually a London, Ontario thing, which is even farther from me. The guys over in London are right across, like you can literally walk from downtown London straight up into 8 Mile. Like London and Detroit are kissing cousins. They're right across from each other. Just as where I'm at, I'm right across from Quebec. So I'm at the other side of Ontario. That being the case, I don't hate the Lions, strangely. Like I hate the Packers, hate the Patriots. I'm just not trying to give all kinds of love in division to either the Vikings or the Lions. To be really frank here, I actually out of the three opposing teams in our division, the Lions is the one that I like the most. Right? I'm just being real. Like they kind of look, smell, and feel a little bit.
They're the least ugly out of the other three.
I don't know if they're the least ugly because, like, what I was going to say is they remind me of the Bears the most, which may be ugly depending on who you are and where you sit, right? Barry Sanders, Walter Payton, you know what I mean? There's a lot of similarities in my mind between the Lions and Chicago. So they have a little bit of a special place in my heart, whereas I don't really have any kind of a heart for the Green Bay Packers. And the Vikings are the Vikings. I don't really feel any kind of a way positive by way of Minnesota. But yeah, that's where I am. No hate. Crimson says that's fair. And Deuce One, who is in Toronto right now, is saying the Bills are really the Toronto thing. I have to agree with that fully. Same token, Buffalo's relatively close to Toronto, not far, not far. The last NFL game that I saw was in Toronto versus it was Buffalo Bills versus Atlanta Falcons. There used to be a game every year in Toronto. I think that's kind of slowed down a little bit as of late. But yeah, much more of a Bills thing over there. But I'm with you, Crimson. The only reason I don't want the Lions to win this season is just because then I got to listen to friggin' Dawn for the better. I mean, like that's what it's gonna be, right? I got to listen to Dawn moving forward for the next God knows how long. So. I'm pulling for them Bills right now because they just served it to the Lions. I'm kind of pulling for the Bills. Normally, I would be going for an NFC team. It's just I don't want to hear about this moving forward. Like I don't.
That's fair, Crimson. You are right. I do agree with him. At least they're not the Green Bay Packers, the effing Packers. So
FGB, bro. You know.
Yeah, all day, every day.
Man, so that's kind of how I feel about all that. Don is like 15. The kid's arms. I'm not saying he's like it's not a harm thing. It's just he will be in the chat talking all. Listen, Don's in the chat as it is now, and he was in there when they were losing. You know what I'm saying? If they win, there's no shutting him down. There's no getting rid of Don. So we'll definitely have to put up with and listen to Don Burr talk about the Super Bowl and their great team and their GM and their head coach and their running back forever.
To be fair, though, I mean, the Bears ever get to another Super Bowl or win a Super Bowl as well, I'm sure we're going to be pretty damn insufferable.
Yes,
there's a lot of
we will be insufferable.
So, I mean, to be fair to Don, I mean, you win a championship. Championships do that to people. They make them insufferable.
You mean like Patriots fans? Yeah, it makes them insufferable.
And like Chiefs fans now? Yeah.
People feel that
Cowboys in the 90s? Yeah.
Yes, yeah, those guys too. San Francisco as well. So there's like a list. Yeah. So take it for what it's worth. It's been a long time since you guys have gotten this far. It's been the Lions, mind it. It's been a long time coming. They've done all the right things. And again, kudos and props. Odds are they're going to take it. My call was them going to the Super Bowl this season anyways, but we'll see how it goes. I have a feeling they may just wind up getting smacked up in that game. Very similar to how they got smacked up.
They're down not only David Montgomery, but their top defensive tackle, Ali McNeil, too. I don't see them surviving this, man.
Yeah, Ali McNeil is down. Carlton Davis on another level is also down, cornerback. Khalil Dorsey's down. There's been a lot of.
There's only so many losses they can take. Yeah, they got like 20 guys on injured reserve. Like, there's only so many bodies you can have step on up next. But we'll see.
Another injured body out there is Noah Brown. For the Washington Commanders.
Oh, that guy. Yeah, I know him. Yeah. I remember him.
Yeah, oh man, yeah. There's a reason why you remember him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so he's he was a fantastic wide receiver over in Houston. Found his way over to Washington and has been doing a decent job. Especially by way of destroying the Chicago Bears' entire season. just to round out where you were with your comment, Commish. But he's out. You may want to take a look at what else is available in Washington. Let's get rid of this and just do something like this.
Question while you're bringing that up. So how did you guys do this week in the playoffs? Were you guys advancing in all your leagues, or did you say there was only one you're advancing in?
All right. Well, since you're asking, let's actually take a look. So there's my guy, the Nod. Look at this. 161 points to 164. This is the playoffs, y'all. It's real close, real deal shit. Man, I've only had 2 games this year like this that were this kind of close. And big shout outs to Nodge, because I have to say, and I've said it before on the show, Nodge manages the F out of his team. He really does. He did a great job in management this season, and it panned out very well for him. If you really go down and take a look at his bench, he has Jerome Ford. There's a Jerome Ford, 32 points on the bench, decided not to play him. That's pretty crazy. But he also has a Jalen McMillan, another 18-plus points sitting on his bench. So, I mean, if either one of these moves were made, I'm in much bigger trouble than what the numbers show. Same token, if I did not go with Elijah Moore this week, I win. There's room right there with Demario Douglas, and yeah,
I hate it when that happens.
You got the revisionist history is the worst. So that's a SuperFlex league. Let's look at. I want to look at just the standings for the league, right? So right now, huh?
Whose meme is that, man? Whose gift?
That's me. Honestly, I was so much more worried than that. Let's just go through it.
You should have put one up there that says "You got the juice now."
True too. So it was Kedz. What an epic battle! You had the second highest score of the week. If only Caleb didn't see Rome with Doomsday last night, because it was fun. Oh, and he's not you son of a. So what's even more? Okay, all right. Let's go a little bit further back. Where's Naj at? Where's Naj? Oh man. So anyway, so Naj was like, "Listen, I saw you drop Will Dissly, because Will Dissly's on IR. He's hurt. I'm gonna wear my Will Dissly hoodie on Monday night just in case." So there he is rocking his Will Dissly hoodie just to rub it in a little bit extra more. And this was my response. Honestly, I was so much more worried about that fucking guy, Aaron Jones. So sick of that guy. Anyhow, this was just riding on a little bit of a joke me and Nomad were talking about, because honestly, Aaron Jones just shows up in Chicago and runs ruckshot all over. It's ridiculous at this point, and that's how I feel every time I see bloody Aaron Jones and his blonde dreadlocks. I just want to flip the table.
The man cannot retire soon enough.
Anytime, Aaron Jones. You know what I mean? Anytime, Aaron. Oh man! All right, so that's 3 out of 4 leagues I'm bumped out. Upside is I'm still holding things down in the Bears Podcaster League, right? So who shook out last week? Aldo Gandia. So Aldo Gandia took out our guy, Dr. Mason West, in a pretty decent battle. On the other side, damn, oh man, I didn't want this to go down at all.
I know that's by mistake, because I know all those ass don't know what he's doing.
Huh? No, Aldo, here's I'm gonna throw you under the bus, Aldo. You wait. I hope you're watching. So, anyways, Aldo, shout outs to you, Doc. Aldo knows how he set up the points breakdown. It's probably the best way that I could put it, because in this league, the points are a little bit different. So, And I'll show you guys. I'll show you. Can I? And all I can say is these defenses in this league are putting up like 30 to 60 points a week. It's crazy. The Minnesota Vikings, yeah, it's he's got all kinds of all kinds of bonus points on the defense. The Minnesota Vikings is probably the number one scoring entity, right, in this fantasy football league. Period. It's ridiculous, but and like to make matters worse, Aldo Gandia got the Minnesota Vikings defense. Just to put that out there too. My Houston Texans defense has been playing pretty decent, so I really can't complain. But I didn't want to go up against Joel Mandel again, and that's what I'm complaining about, because Joel Mandel just served me my lunch a week ago. He's one of the few people who's actually beat me this season. I've got a really good record, really decent, but he beat me last week. Sorry, not last week, but the week before, right? I was really hoping not to go up against Joel again, and here we go, right? So I'm back up against Joel Mandel again. Hopefully I can pull it out this week. The real upsides are Terry McLaurin is hopefully not hurt. All I need is for this guy to come back healthy. That's all I need. Yeah. That's all I need. If Ken Walker, I know, right? Like if Ken Walker comes back healthy, I'm in a great place. I start him. I start Terry McLaurin, and I'm laughing. But to be honest with you, the only place that I'm a little worried right now, with respect to this team and this matchup this week, is with this guy.
Yeah, we were talking about him earlier because of Mahomes.
That's why, right? So he's of all things, he's the one guy I'm a little bit trepidatious of right now. If Mahomes ain't starting, if somehow it's Carson Wentz, I don't see that really benefiting Travis Kelce in a major way, especially again against a tough matchup against the Houston Texans, who are trying to maintain their playoff push. Mm-hmm. I'm worried, right?
Well, so two ways to look at that also.
Yeah.
Usually the tight end is usually a backup quarterback's best friend. You know,
that is true.
Usually.
If they didn't have Noah Gray there, I probably would be a little bit more comfortable, but Noah Gray tends to sneak in there, random ass games, and right when you think, oh shit, there it is, 80. Oh, that's 84, not 87. Damn it.
Yeah, he vultures touchdowns all the time.
Yeah. So so real quick, I only have about a few minutes left, and then I have to bounce out. I do produce. I'm just so for your audience, I'm coming from the Chicago Clubhouse Network. This is another, live stream that we do as well. On Mondays, I have a fantasy football show where I just kind of recap the games immediately, kind of look forward immediately as what you guys are doing, kind of looking at the injuries, and answer and interact with the fans as well. We like to interact with the people in the chat over there. And then on tonight is our main show where we break down the Bears game. It being a Chicago Clubhouse Network, Chicago show, talk all things Chicago. And tonight, like I said, we're going to try and figure out what went wrong again, with the Bears, and
make sure you come back for one of our Bears shows, man. Make sure you come back for one of those. That I know this is cool, but when we're doing those shows, man, I think you'd really enjoy that, man.
No, yeah, absolutely. Like. With our show there, we only usually go, the one day a week is that Tuesday night and whatnot. On Thursday night, we talk either baseball or basketball, whichever one, either Bulls, Cubs, or White Sox, whichever's in season at the moment. And then we have a pregame show before every Bears game as well. But like I said, that's how I kind of found you guys. You guys talk Bears more often and come back, and I'd love to either to come back on the show or you'll definitely see me in the chats there chatting up with you guys, if nothing else. So
we'll have you back for sure, man.
No, we definitely will. And again, thanks for your support. Definitely follow our guy, the Crooked Commish, at the Chicago Clubhouse Network. Give him a like and a subscribe and a share if you will. Give him a little bit of love out there in the social media feeds. He would definitely appreciate that, and so would we. Speaking of all that, yeah, most definitely, Commish will have you on one of our Bear-centric pods here or there, right, over the next couple of weeks while this season is still going down, and we can all lament in the awesomeness or lack thereof. Man, I'm so sarcastic.
Yeah, we could start talking about who we maybe want as a new Bears head coach or possibly even new GM. So, I mean, everything's up for discussion at this point now.
Yeah, everything is up for discussion, and who knows, man? Who knows what happens now?
Like tomorrow, in fact, tomorrow we're gonna do probably the Christmas edition of some extra sauce, and we're gonna open that one up to the public just because it's a special occasion. It's usually a members only show, but we're gonna open that up to everybody. Everybody can jump on in and chime in on that day on that show, and we'll definitely talk about all the stuff you're talking about, Commish. So if you have some time and you want to pop in, just say the word, man. If we start talking some stuff that you want to talk about, man, feel free.
Oh yeah. Please send me the link. I like I said, love talking Bears football, and we have a lot to talk about when it comes to Bears football too. So I mean, it's not just one leak in the boat. There's multiple leaks.
There's all kinds of holes in that boat, man. I don't know how it's floating. Cool, man. So we won't keep you too much longer. We know that you got to fly. Really appreciate your input today, and we totally appreciate your support. Thanks for coming through, and hopefully we can get you on maybe for a little bit of time on Extra Sauce to chop it up there potentially tomorrow. We'll keep the communication lines wide open and figure things out from there. That being said, sir, mad love to you, and thanks for jumping on SuperFlex, man.
Absolutely. Peace out. Thank you guys again. Be safe out there, and good luck next week in the playoffs.
Yeah, thanks, brother. Same to you. Cheers.
Cheers.
All right, that's our guy, the Crooked Commish, doing his thing. I really appreciate the fact that he reached out and we were able to connect and get him online. That was great. A lot of awesome insight from him too. So appreciate that, and kind of can't wait to figure out some of that same conversation by way of the Bears, because good Lord, as you all know, all kinds of fun jazz to talk about in that respect, right? So we'll be doing that again here tomorrow night. That being said, me and the King of Pop will go through just these matchups right quick for Week 16. We'll touch base on that, and then we'll get the dude to take us home, right? So let's take a look at some of these here matchups. Just want to see. Oh, there we go. Much bigger. Perfect. All right. So Thursday night, we're lined up with the Denver Broncos versus the Los Angeles Chargers. This will be a really good football game. For a minute there, one might think that the Los Angeles Chargers and Jim Harbaugh and Justin Herbert would just run roughshod over these Denver Broncos. But this team's starting to surge up. Cortland Sutton is starting to surge up. Bo Nix.
Is this the biggest you can get the screen?
Yeah.
I can barely read it.
Wonder if I can do a little something else about that. Nope.
All right. We just have to take your word for it. That you had it there.
Let me see if I can get it a little bit bigger. Nah, it's still super small. Still super small. Sorry about that. So that's matchup number one, Denver versus Los Angeles. What do you? I think Denver actually was gonna pull out the stops with Sean Payton and maybe take this game. What are your thoughts?
Not a chance, man.
Not a chance. All right.
The surgeon. They'll beat the brakes.
All right.
Yeah.
I've got faith. I've got faith in my guy Bo Nix. Bo Nix is our guy on this particular week's thumbnail. Didn't really go through his numbers today, and I could go back and go through numbers, but a little little bit of a horse being beaten to death here by yours truly. Bo Nix has been a viable quarterback for the past 6 weeks, I'm going to have to say. If you need a guy and he's available, go get him. If you need a guy. If you're looking at a Patrick Mahomes down, if you're looking at a Jameis Winston down and you're starting Jameis Winston, if you're looking at Derek Carr down, Bo Nix isn't the craziest guy to look at. And, Deuce.
You know what? In a game like this, I always tell people, always pay attention to how teams are trending going into the playoffs. Like, you can see this team, like the Rams, you can see that team really surge in that offensive line, start to get healthy. And, even the defensive side of the ball, the pass rushers, the edge rushers are really getting home. Some of those guys on the defensive front are playing ball. And so I don't really expect Bo Nix to have a good game in this one, to be honest with you.
Well, all right. So there's that. Again, he is going up against the Chargers, and by all means, they should win this game. I'm giving you a little bit of an upset because we just watched a little bit of an upset from them.
About the Rams. My bad. Okay. Oh,
yeah.
In that case, I'll give him a fair shot, man, in this game. Fair shot.
I think it's a fair shot, to be honest with you. I think they have an opportunity to do it. The Rams, if it was against the Rams, I'm totally with you. Rams are upsurging even more so, and you're looking at a Matt Stafford situation there. So, yeah. Moving on, Saturday. Oh, we got Saturday games this week. Crazy. Houston Texans versus KC. So we've talked a little bit about this game already. Patrick Mahomes is down. Houston themselves are fighting to maintain their playoff position. So keep your eyes peeled on that. I'm going to have to say that I think Houston takes this particular game over Kansas City, even though Kansas City is Kansas City and they got a ridiculous record and all that. Without Pat Mahomes, it's going to be a little bit tough for them to win this football game. So the one thing I will say is if anybody can pull a football game out of their backside, it's Andy Reid. So won't discount the coach. What do you think?
I'm giving at Arrowhead. I'm giving it to the Chiefs, Jack. You ain't beating them.
Giving it to the Chiefs. Okay.
It's gonna be cold. Right. Yeah.
Okay. Next up, we got Pittsburgh versus Baltimore in division football. Is always crazy. Man. Well, I'm gonna keep this one short, sweet, and simple, and just lean towards a guy who probably, if Josh Allen wasn't having the year he was having, he might be the MVP this season, and that's Lamar Jackson. Like, Lamar Jackson is doing some special stuff with the pass. Man, 32 teams should be mad at themselves, man. They should be every team should be mad, bro, because they let that kid fall right to the end of that draft. Baltimore comes back up in there and spends like nothing, no kind of big pick to go and get him. And he's been a superstar ever since. So shout out to Lamar Jackson. I think this is a Baltimore special. And I'm also not so certain on the play capability of TJ Watt. So I know TJ Watt left the game, Pittsburgh's last game against Philly, relatively early with an injury. So we'll have to find out. We'll have to wait and see what that looks like for Pittsburgh. What are your thoughts?
The James Brown song, The Big Payback, they just beat Baltimore a couple weeks ago in their place. This is the payback game, man. Baltimore takes it to them in this game.
I prefer Super Bad, but here we are. Bubba Big Payback. There it is. Next up, we got Sunday football at 1 p.m., starting with the New York Giants versus the Atlanta Falcons. That's some ugly football. Speaking of ugly football, anyway, that's some ugly football. I'm going to lean towards Atlanta. I don't, the reason I'm leaning towards Atlanta is because nothing good's really happening in New York. Going to be a couple of decent yards for Malik Neighbors, a little bit on the ground for Tyrone Tracy, but that's about the end of that football game. The reality on the other side is Kirk Cousins is starting to show his age, and he's getting a little bit worse. So, yeah, like this past week was a virtual nothing burger for Darnell Mooney. Drake London did make his impression felt, which is good to see. So did Kyle Pitts, which was odd to it was hard to believe because he's as hit or miss as they could possibly be, right? But I think Kirk Cousins is the catalyst here. If he has a good game, Atlanta wins. He might also throw up a whole bunch of interceptions. It's just been that kind of a I'd say that kind of a season, but it's not true. It's just it's just the end of this season that has been much more Kirk Cousins than the beginning of this season has been. Anyways, what do you think about the Giants versus Atlanta?
Another hobo fighting for a train car. That's what it looks like to me. Kirk Cousins can't play any worse than he's been playing the last couple of weeks, and he's going to snap out of it eventually. And sometimes you need that team on your schedule to help you snap out of it. And I think this is that game. I think he bust out big, 350, 3 touchdowns, maybe 4. It's going to be a good game for him.
All right, so you're saying get right game for Atlanta. I wish I could argue with that. I don't see Atlanta Falcons losing this game. They really have to screw things up. Moving on, the Don Burr's beloved Detroit Lions and our beloved Chicago Bears. We'll just keep this one short and sweet. Oh man,
don't do it.
I'm not going to do it. Detroit wins this game. All right, there you go. What do you think?
You picture me rooting against my Bears or betting against my Bears. The Bears, we'll find a way to get them.
All right. There you go. It's all the reason in the world for the Bears to win this football game. I just can't be the guy to say it because if I say it, they'll lose. So if I say Detroit wins, universal cosmic jinxes. You know what I'm saying? Just putting that out there. Cleveland Browns versus the Cincinnati Bengals. We talked a little bit about this matchup earlier on. I'm leaning Cincinnati all day long. Jameis Winston's been throwing ducks. Dorian Thompson-Robinson's potentially starting. This Cincy defense ain't great, but definitely good enough for my personal Cincinnati handcuff to go absolutely crazy against the Browns. So I say Cincinnati all day long. What are your thoughts?
Game's going to be tougher than you think it is. Cleveland's got a defense, and that defense ain't quit. And I'll just say they get out. The Bengals get away with a 7-point win, but it's going to be tough.
7 points, perfect. I just hope that they score. They both score 40 and 47, and we're in business. Tennessee Titans versus the Indianapolis Colts. In division, man, I just have no give a what about this game. I can honestly care less about this football game. So I don't even know what to call here. I'm gonna call Anthony Richardson versus a benched Will Levis. So I'm leaning towards the home team on this one being the Indianapolis Colts. What are your thoughts?
Another hobo fight. I think the better quarterback wins. I think Mason Rudolph's a better quarterback. I think he does.
Richardson?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right now, for now, he is. But as it stands, I'd say the better quarterback gets the win. I'm going Tennessee on this one.
Okay, all right. I would just like to say that I think they're both bad quarterbacks. Just put that out there. I'm not sure if there's really a better quarterback in this particular matchup, even with Will Levis. But hey, whatever. All right, so we split on that one. Next up, we got Los Angeles Rams versus the New York Jets. This will be an interesting matchup, but I'm leaning Rams. What about you?
Not really. It won't be interesting at all. Rams will run all over their asses, man. Kyron Williams is is in that conversation for what people might call one of the breakout performers of the year. Nobody really gave that guy much credibility when he came in the league, but that guy he's constantly turning heads every week, and the Rams are surging, man. So I think they're going to kick the Jets' behinds, man.
So I'm with you there. I think the Rams win this football game. I do have to say that for some crazy reason, and it's absolutely like, too little, too late type situation. Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams and Garrett Wilson have kind of found some kind of stuff going on. Like, things are happening. If you have any of those guys, by all means, start them. It's worth your time, energy, and effort. But again, I think this will be a high-scoring affair. I think that the Rams will win right alongside you. So I'm with you there. Now, Philadelphia versus Washington Commanders. Philly versus Washington, interdivisional situation. I think it'll be a good showing for Jaden Daniels. I think it'll be a good showing for Terry McLaurin, Brian Robinson. Unfortunately, I also think they're going to lose. So somehow the Philadelphia Eagles will figure their way in and around this game to win it, likely based on the back of Saquon Barkley. So take that for what it's worth. I'm also under the impression that A.J. Brown may also be suffering from injury too, now that we are here. So keep your eyes peeled on that situation as well. I don't think it's in the books or he's been noted as being out just yet. I'm going to double check that right now. So let me.
What up, Minister Charles? What's happening?
What's cracking there, Mr. Johnson? Let me see here. Wow.
Gotta talk, kids. They're there.
So I'm really sorry here, man. I'm just trying to go through the notes on AJ Brown. It was a much longer note than it usually is, and even then they're not saying that he's hurt or out or questionable this week, but I think he might be. So keep for folks out there, keep their eyes peeled. If you're starting AJ Brown, keep your eyes peeled on his status this week. I'm a little bit worried about it. All right, back to where we were. So that's Philadelphia. Next up, we got Arizona versus Carolina. Cardinals versus the Panthers. I think this is a no-brainer. I won't get too deep into it. I'm simply just going to say Arizona over Carolina, but Xavier Legette's out, right? So I want folks to pay attention to that if you're an Xavier Legette guy. There's another wide receiver in Carolina who is going to step up by way of Xavier Legette. What's the last name? Brooks, I believe. Am I wrong? I think it's this guy. Well, I can't remember who. Oh,
Crooked Commish trying to help you.
John,
help you out here.
Jalen Coker. Thanks, Crooked Commish. You got me, man. Thank you, sir. That's exactly who I'm looking for. So bear with me. Let me get you guys some Jalen Coker. Jalen Coker. We're going to share. Boom. All right. So keep your eyes. Thanks, Crooked Commish. Really appreciate it, Doc. Keep your eyes peeled. Semi-decent numbers. Much more snaps this past week because Xavier Legette went down. This kid will take the top off the defense. So you're going to sort of look at it like, Adam Thielen is your Keenan Allen. He's your safety blanket for Bryce Young. If you can get yourself some Adam Thielen love, do it. But on the flip side, Jalen Coker's virtually unrostered and started by nobody. If you need a guy, this might be your guy. All right, so there's a little bit of waiver wire love for you guys in that respect too. All right, Carolina versus Arizona. What? Any thoughts there, King of Pop?
Arizona might, if they decide to fall asleep, that's the only chance they got to lose that game.
You said it. Wish I could argue with that. Now, next up, we've got Minnesota versus the Seattle Seahawks. Minnesota Vikings. Well, after last week's, speaking of guys who are hurt, like the further we get into this week, the more humanity I recall as being hurt. And that guy being hurt is this guy, Geno Smith. So Geno Smith basically walked off the game. We walked off the field there last week, more or less midway through the game. I'm not exactly sure. I'm not sure what's wrong with him, but long story short, y'all, you gotta be worried. I don't think he's gonna start this week coming up. If he does not start against the Minnesota Vikings, it's not gonna be a great showing, right? So things to pay attention to. Moving on. Well, sorry, my bad. King of Pop, any thoughts on Minnesota versus Seattle?
Yeah, I don't think he has, unless he's getting his getting his leg cut off from the knee down. He's going to be out there, man, because their playoff situation is in limbo. You're going one way or another. Geno's going to get on that field. Don't know if he'll finish the game, but he'll get out there. I'm gonna call, depending on whether or not they can get a running game, if Kenneth Walker comes back or no. I think if they can get a running game against Minnesota could have a nice go at it. I'm gonna pick, because Seattle really needs one. I'm picking Seattle on this one.
Okay. All right. And I'm all for Kenneth Walker and that run game, because I really need some Kenneth Walker run game this week. So there is all of that. Next up, we got New England versus the Buffalo Bills. What do you say?
Over by halftime.
Yeah, divisional matchup against the AFC leader. I think the New England Patriots get curb stomped, unfortunately. So I'm right there with you. Over by halftime, King of Pop says. It may not even take that long.
This is the game that the New England fans will start the chance of bringing Vrabel in and Josh McDaniels. There's already rumors that if things don't get any better, they're going to be down in New England next year. It's already starting to be rumors.
But aren't they all in Carolina?
Who?
Josh McDaniels and Matt Patricia, the pencil.
You think they won't leave there to go back to New England?
I guess they would. I just like to say this though. I mean, it is my show. What the hell is he doing with that pencil?
Nothing. Like he knows a hell of a lot. You know how guys, people just put a pencil in their ear to look like they know a little bit of something. Don't know shit.
But this is what I'm trying to say. That's got to be the most pretentious thing to do, is put a pencil in your hat and never use the damn pencil. Like you're a smart guy. You're just trying to show people you're a smart guy, but you ain't using no pencil. You're a football coach. There's no reason to use a pencil.
None.
Just saying. Drives me crazy. Can't stand the pencil. Hate it. Not a fan of Josh McDaniels either, but is what it is. So there we are with that one. Buffalo Bills over New England. I think it's a consensus. We've got next up Jacksonville versus the Las Vegas Raiders. Deuce One Effects is saying Jacksonville versus LV. Raiders are in full tank, yet they will be starting Aiden O'Connell this week. You know what? Like, I wouldn't want to have anything to do with this football game if I'm a betting man. You know what I'm saying? Like, I would be avoiding this game across the board. It's going to be a whole lot of running the football, except for this. There is one man in Jacksonville who, who really wants to play some football against the Las Vegas Raiders this week. And that man's name is Mac Jones. Mac Jones. Mac Jones. That's his name. So Mac Jones is going to come out there and he's going to sling the rock all over the place. It's going to wind up in Brian Thomas Jr.'s hands, and it'll be an interesting thing to watch. And the reason I'm saying these things is because I don't think Mac Jones wants to be a backup quarterback for anybody. I think he wants a starting job. And the way he was carrying on this past week, it kind of looked like he wants a starting job. He was out there just feeling himself, doing his thing, and enjoying his time. So I think he's going to be out there doing the exact same thing against a Las Vegas Raiders team that is in, as Deuce One Effect says, full tank mode, right? So that's where I am. Keep your eyes peeled on Mac Jones and his ability to have a decent showing on both the ground and in the air this Sunday. What are your thoughts on Jacksonville versus Las Vegas?
Another bum fight. I'm gonna give
a whole bunch of those this week, and it's so true.
I'm gonna give it to Vegas at home, man.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah.
Deuce, want to hear that? You think the Raiders going to win?
At home, man. Got to be some pride in the building.
The reality is somebody's got to win this football game, and it's not crazy. It's not crazy to say. I don't know, man. I have a feeling Mac Jones is going to save the day and make a name for himself. But that's where I am with it. So you're saying Las Vegas. I'm saying Jacksonville. We split on that one. Couple more games to go through before we call it a day. Next up, we got San Francisco versus the Miami Dolphins. So the Niners versus the Dolphins here. Full tank mode, Deuce? Full tank mode. So San Francisco versus Miami. San Francisco hasn't been having a great season. Again, they also don't have the luxury of playing the Chicago Bears every week. So there's that too. Flipping it over to the other side, being Miami, Jalen Waddle is out. I don't know if the rest of you guys caught any of the footage from this past week's football game, but Tua is like, I don't know if Tua is a good quarterback.
Wait a minute. Okay, I'm gonna let that one slide. We just had an argument about this whole thing a couple weeks ago.
About Tua Tagovailoa?
Tua and the head coach.
Oh no, I said I really like the head coach, and you said you didn't.
I didn't like him. I didn't think you said he's a great head coach, and I was like,
I thought he was a great. I think he's great. Maybe great's the wrong word to use. So I see why maybe you took exception to it. I really like him. I don't, and it's got less to do with like. It has less to do with accolades or things he's really done. When it comes to things he's done, he was able to sort of formulate things around Tua and get stuff out of Tua, whereas Brian Flores was not able to put anything around Tua and get anything out of Tua. That's sort of the football side of it. I really just actually like the way that he talks football. I can see how football, like his football intelligence is extremely high.
Yeah, Kedz, don't get me wrong. The guy is a football savant. You talking to a guy that eats and sleeps and shits this stuff, man. He's a savant, man. The way, especially from an offensive standpoint, I would just leave it there. You know, that's why I like. A football savant doesn't necessarily translate to a great head coach.
That's fair.
He's just got,
and like I'm saying, that's why I sort of had to go back and say, like, maybe me saying he's a great head coach is probably the wrong word for me to use, because that's yet to be proven. But at the end of the day, just his football IQ, and you're saying he's a football savant. That's what makes me sort of lean towards Mike McDaniels. Really appreciate that guy and the way that he thinks about the sport. End of the day, versus these San Francisco 49ers. This is a little bit of a tough call, but I'm simply going to lean towards Miami because San Francisco is super hurt. And that's the only reason. What are your thoughts there?
Wait a minute. What we calling the Dallas and Tampa game?
No.
Are we still on Miami, San Fran?
Well, Miami, San Fran.
This is going to be interesting because if Jalen Waddle was down, the dynamic's going to completely change. Now
it does.
This goes to the fact that we just got to giving this guy credit as being a football savant on the offensive side of the ball. How he adjusts to And he will have to adjust to Waddle not being there, and Tyreek Hill getting double covered, and it's probably gonna have to use a hell of a lot of movement with Jonnu Smith to kind of get some variation in offense. But because he's a brilliant offensive mind, I think he figures out a way to deal with San Francisco, man. I think they can eke out a win here, but Tua's got to play his ass off.
Yeah, can't be confident up the minute. There was 2 interceptions. I watched a big chunk of that Miami game this past week. There were 2 interceptions that Tua had no business throwing. There's no reason for that stuff. And what made matters worse for me, why I was a little bit upset with the final interception, was when he threw it. He had the ability to chase down the cornerback and bring him down and tackle him, and he purposefully, made a business decision and pulled up, and that really irked me. I was like, man, get the tackle. You just coughed up a duck for no good reason, stared this man down, and put the ball in his hands. Go get that guy if you can. If you get blocked out, you get blocked out. But there's nobody there to block him. He had the ability to do it, and he just wasn't about to do that. And that rubbed me the wrong way. But anyways, enough about Tua Tagliabue. Man, I'm just Tua.
Let's forget it, man.
Just Tua. Next up, we got Tampa Bay versus the Dallas Cowboys. Tampa Bay. Keep it short and sweet on that one. I don't think things are going in the right direction for the Dallas Cowboys, mostly by way of injury as well. But Micah's back, Dak's gone. Cooper Rush ain't the worst thing in the world. I've seen him make a couple of really nice plays this weekend, to be frank with you. So even
out for the year, this is a perfect storm in Tampa Bay surgery. And don't forget, man, check the private.
I got you. Yeah. But yeah, that's kind of how that rolls. So yeah, I like the way that Tampa Bay's been playing football this season. Win, lose, or draw. I appreciate the resurgence of Baker Mayfield. Mike Evans is having a Mike Evans season. You know what I mean? Like, he just is.
Crimson is giving you some help.
Tonga Vailoa. Yeah, all right. Thanks, Crimson. Got to phonetically do it. Maybe I'm just gonna save that. I'm gonna save that comment for later on. Next time I gotta pronounce it, I'll just bring up it's Crimson. We'll see. Anyways, so yeah, Tampa Bay over Dallas. That's my thoughts, and we round things out at the end of the week on a Monday night with a matchup between. Oh man, God, I hate the Packers. The New Orleans Saints and the Green Bay Packers. Everybody hurt in New Orleans, so Packers are going to win.
Yeah, New Orleans is in trouble. They're just going to have a field day on them.
It's terrible. Any a little extra, if there could possibly be some level of extra love, extra easiness, it's going to wind up in the lap of Lambeau. Every single time it winds up that way for the Packers. So, yeah, they're up against the Saints. Everybody in New Orleans is hurt. No Derek Carr, no Alvin Kamara potentially. I don't know how they stack up against the Green Bay Packers, period, with those guys. I thought that would be a decent game. But given the case scenario as it is, the line is Green Bay minus 13.5, which is pretty crazy, right? So, yeah, everybody and their mom thinks Green Bay is going to win this game. And that just makes things a little bit tighter in the NFC North with respect to who wins the North, right? So, anyways, FGB, you heard it here first, or you heard it here again. King of Pop, what do you think, bro?
Yeah, this is an easy one, man. This is I know this is also one of the I think just because you hate Green Bay so much, I think sometimes we tend not to give them credit for how well they're designed and built. This is a good team, a really, really good team, and they're surging, man. They're playing some good football right now. They're getting healthier. This is especially now that Detroit's beat up and, missing key pieces. If they run into Green Bay right now with the team that they have, I think Green Bay taps that behind. And I'm telling you, Green Bay is tough, man. They are really tough.
I hate it. And there's reasons why. Like these, by all means, look at their wide receivers. I don't know which one of them is the lead. I don't know if any of them are good, but they're all like good. You know what I mean? Like it's so intermittent by way of who the receiver is going to be and what his output or influence on a football game is it might look like, right? Dontavian Wicks, we ain't seen him do anything all season. Jaden Reed been pretty up and down. Romeo Dobbs steps into the plate. He does a darn job. He gets suspended. Things go downhill. He comes back. He's you know what I mean? He's back again. He's doing the darn thing. Very similar aspects for Christian Watson, totally up and down. The two places on that team, the three places where you find stability, A is at the quarterback position because somehow, regardless as to whether these wide receivers are doing well, Jordan Love's doing all right. Very consistent. The defense is very consistent, especially against the run. Pretty decent defense. They get pressure, and they're able to stop that run game. And the last piece about Green Bay of importance is they went out in the offseason and they got themselves a bell cow back. His name is Josh Jacobs. And let me tell you, that guy gets run. He got run out in Las Vegas before. Doesn't matter where he's at, he's going to get snaps. He's going to put up numbers, and they will be respectable. So I see much of that this week.
Anytime, anywhere, I would want to face Green Bay in the playoffs. I don't give a shit what team you have. They're just going to be a tough team to beat come playoff time.
I agree because again, it's like the opposite. I don't know. I'm just saying, who do you guard? And it's not a question of like, all these wide receivers are number one wide receivers. I just mean like, for real, who do you guard? Because I don't know which one of them is the number one. I don't know who the number two wide receiver is. It's kind of just a hodgepodge of guys who can get the job done if the need be. So they'll use the guy, he'll be elevated, and he'll get the job done. Who's that guy? I don't know.
It's all in the scheme, the way they scheme up route concepts and play sequences. They go from, screen, wide receiver screen to deep crossers to underneath stuff. I mean, seamlessly with similar concepts, and it kind of looks the same. They use pre-snap motions to really throw off the defense. It is well done, man. That guy, that head coach, is really, really good with scheming up, what they do well, man. So I just can't do nothing but respect it from a pure football standpoint. The fact that they're Green Bay Packers, that heat is still there, but the respect from a football standpoint is definitely there from my standpoint.
Yeah, I'm so with you, man. There's not much we can do about that. Our guy Crimson is just sort of saying that, Detroit is 2 games ahead and face us in Detroit this week. Detroit gonna get that bye. So I wish I could argue with Crimson on that front. You're darn straight, Crimson. I think Detroit will lock things down and potentially could lock things down there this weekend. I really hope for a Chicago Bears upset, just so we can stick it to jabronis like Don Burr and everybody everybody in Michigan, just for the sake of that, just for that reason alone. I hope the Bears leave this season at least sticking it to the damn line just one time. Just stick it to them. Anyways, that's what I'm hoping for this weekend, right? We'll see how she goes. Things ain't been great by way of Chicago, but we got to bear down regardless. That being said, man, any final thoughts there, King of Pop?
Oh, for anybody that can, within the sound of my voice, if you like to show some extra sauce and you haven't become a member yet, you might want to tune in tomorrow. We're going to open it up to the public and have a freebie for everybody, man. We're going to jump in and have all these Bears conversations. And Lord knows there's a lot to be had, to be talked about tomorrow. It's going to be a hell of a show tomorrow. I guarantee you that. We will have the spirits flowing, man, and we'll get all the way into every conversation that the Bears fans want to have. And, I spent almost made myself nauseated trying to defend Ryan Poles last night. And I just felt like, it's just like the chat was so after him. And then Kedz went into it. And I'm just like, in this whole, me being a mentor and a counselor, that part of me comes out. Like, it feels like when somebody's getting attacked, it's like it's my job, to stand up and like, hold on, man. Y'all gonna kill him out here. You know what I mean? So that's how it was for me last night. And I was exhausted after that show. I guarantee you that. And I slept good. But yeah, we're gonna get into some more of that tomorrow, man. It's gonna be some hellified conversation, man. And it'll be spicy again, of course. But that's what we do over there on Some Extra Sauce.
That's pretty funny. I'm glad you recognized all that, because you're definitely fighting some just factual occurrences that will be moving
Somebody
forward.
had to defend the guy, golly, because he was getting nervous, man.
I don't. If you say so, I don't. It's not for me, and that was really where I was. Yes, it wasn't really a question of placing blame or defense. It was really just looking at what the beginning of this offseason is going to look like, and whether keeping Ryan Poles or losing Ryan Poles will affect what it looks like. And that's where I am. It wasn't really, I'm not trying to throw the guy under the bus. I'm just saying I'm not sure if retaining him really makes much of a positive difference. And I think you led me to the one place where it does, and that is, the overall vision of the team, right? The overall vision of the team. If the overall vision of the team is 4-3 and this is the personnel that he's brought in, he can sort of guide that through. And that is a big reason to keep him. But outside of that, if they wind up having to tear down big chunks of this roster because they've invested the wrong way, you can take him or leave him at that point.
We're gonna have all that conversation in earnest tomorrow, man. And
yes, sir.
Right now, the crowd, I can hear the crowd. I can see the tiki torches from the distance, man. On Ryan Poles, I wouldn't go to Mariotti's to shop or Sam's Club at all, or Costco. He's gonna run into some pretty unruly fans in either one of those markets. So man, he's got an uphill battle right now. He needs to hurry up and get into the off season and make something happen. But it's just not looking good so far.
No, it is not. But he's always got you in your cape. You can fly through and protect his ass as best as you can. But
careful what you wish for. That's all I can tell you.
And don't be stepping in front of no bullets for Ryan Poles. How much I'll say. Anyways, y'all. Hey, another week in fantasy football. Thank you for representing with us and supporting us. Give a little bit of shout out to those who jumped in. Our guy Crimson was with us the whole damn time. Thank you for your support. Big shout outs to our guy, the Crooked Commissioner, for coming through. Take a look at him at Chicago Clubhouse Network. He's doing the darn thing out there. Give him a little bit of a like, share, and subscribe for us over here at the Nomad Network. We'd appreciate that. Shout out to my guy Deuce One Effects, Joseph Archer. What's poppin', Joseph? Minister Charles Johnson's out there doing the darn thing. Who else we got out there that I'm missing? Clark Kahn was with us for a little bit today. Hey, man, I appreciate all the love and the support. We also had Mickey Hayden. It's been a pleasure watching the live stream. Notice
that's a bot.
All right, cool. Gotta love the bots out there too, man. Bots are awesome. When you're botting it up, you're doing the right things. So that much I will say. In any event, Deuce, we will keep the stream flexing. We will keep it flexing, super flexing, that is. And on to week 16. Good luck to all you guys in the playoffs. Beat the daylights out of your opponent. Play defense if you gotta. Go snake them. Get what you need out of waiver wire. Hopefully, we pointed you in the right direction for another week. And with all that being said, dude, take us home.